All right. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining. On the call, we have Amy White with Location One, and Amy's been an incredible asset to us. She's been very responsive. Everything we needed to get Location One available and accessible to our GRO communities. She's been an awesome person to know. So she's on the call. She's going to be walking us through some of the capabilities of Location One. We also have the Marshfield Chamber of Commerce Director Casey on the line with us, and then we have the Buffalo team, Holly and Tanya, who are there in Buffalo. So my thought for today was, the basic agenda was that we would walk folks through how to update their information on Location One that's embedded into our Business 911 platform. So Amy's going to be walking us through that piece. So we'll do that. And then I'd also like to share with you another module that we're looking to introduce into Business 911, hopefully in the next 8 to 12 weeks, which is going to be on residential rental properties. Because this is something that we heard quite a bit from our GRO communities around just the difficulty of finding residential rental properties that are quality properties. So I'd like to share with you a fairly straightforward rudimentary platform that we're in the process of building for another community, and we can get that deployed out to GRO as well. So those were the two major items that were on the agenda for us to talk about today. Tanya and Holly, did you guys have anything else that you wanted to make sure that we covered today?
I just had a question. Do they have login? Will we be able to give them login information to update their properties?
Yes, for Location One, and yes for the rental properties.
The rental, okay.
Yes. Yep.
Will those be individualized, or is it like a one?
Individualized, yep.
Okay.
There will be individual IDs. And the way we're trying to set it up, this is still, I mean, obviously it's a work in progress. We can set it up where if a community has a sense for the properties and they kind of want to do a mass upload, we can do that too. So you can update your information on a basically like a spreadsheet, and then we can do a quick upload of all the properties. So that may be a quick way to get started by putting a bunch of content on our site. And then going forward, individuals can maintain their properties.
Okay.
Casey, any thoughts, questions from you? Anything else you wanted to make sure that we covered today?
None yet. I'm sure I'll have some as we go along.
Okay, great. Thanks. All righty. Well, why don't we begin, Amy, with you? And I don't think we'll be taking the full hour. So you know, we'll make this quick. And Amy, I'll turn the baton to you. You can take control of the. I guess just for anyone who will be coming to this platform, if you go to GRO.business911.org, or if you just go to business911.org and go to Missouri/GRO, this is a platform you come to. From here, if you click on commercial properties, you will basically be coming to a site that is, this is what you're looking at is Location One now. So the shell is Business 911, but everything within the shell, the content, the functionality is all Location One. So this I think this would be a good transition point now. Amy, so as people land here and they see their information that they want to update, they want to edit, they want to add new data, if you can just sort of walk folks through what the functionality and capabilities are, and sort of the any tricks that you want to share, those would be tremendous. So you can take control of the sharing platform as well, Amy.
Okay, perfect. Let me get this shared here. All right, can you guys see my screen all right? I'm on location1.com.
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, perfect. Well, then what I'm going to show you guys today is if you don't have a login to LOIS yet, let me know. You can just, after this call, send me an email. And similar to like what you're doing for your rental properties, you guys would each have your own individual one that we base off your email address. And so I'm in the business 911. You'll see this is their admin site. So they're going to have access to all their communities and all the properties that they can make changes on. But like for your individual logins will only have the territory that you cover. So if you're a county organization or a community, I'll just give you access to that. And then when you get logged in, this will be the dashboard. Move this down here. Okay. And then I'm going to show you, you're going to focus mainly on the buildings and the site tabs for now. And so if you need to go in and make changes to any of your properties, I'm just going to go into the buildings, for example. And once again, this is all the business 911 territory, everything that's actively on the market right now. And I believe, you know, you guys can set up filters, or if you decide to only have, you know, certain type of properties listed, you can do that. But I believe right now you're doing everything, including retail. Sometimes I'll see some people where they may not put retail up immediately. They may focus on some of the larger properties at first, and then start to put the retail in. And so you'll see I have all the properties listed here. If you initially can't find a property that you need to make a change to, we do have the keyword search in the upper right. We also have this advanced search below that keyword. And if you click on that, you can actually really do some searches on when properties were created or last modified, and then obviously by community and the counties that you serve. But to edit any existing property, you just simply click on the property name, and then it will open up that record in Lois. And then you can scroll down to find the different fields. And anytime you make a change to any one of your fields, just make sure to click on the save in the lower right before you leave the page. And then you'll notice over on the left, we have a number of different sections too. So we keep this organized. So if you know you only have to update the utilities today, you can quickly go to that section and update the information. And I always like to point out too, make sure if you are entering the properties, or once if we get some brokers set up too, that they add at least one image to the buildings and sites. So there really is no limit to the properties you can add, or excuse me, the images that you can add, but that will go, any JPEGs or photos will go underneath the images section. If they do have any other type of attachments, like the broker brochures or PDF attachments, that can be loaded underneath the attachment section. And then finally, if there is a building or a site that has any videos, that could also be added to each one of your buildings or sites. And I always like to point out the contacts too. We do have different sections for the economic development contacts, and you can have multiple in here. So there isn't just one that you can only list. If you do have multiple in here, just simply click on the new to add additional ones. And then definitely if there is a broker or realtor involved with the property, there's a section to include their information too. And that's how you just edit any existing properties. Now, if you know, hey, I don't have a property in here yet and we need to add it, the way to manually add a property is in the upper right, you'll notice the white circle with a plus sign in the middle. And if you click on that, that is how you will add a new property. It'll open up a blank form. And so before you can access any of the sections on the left, you do have to enter the basic details on the property. So you'll see the required fields There's not very many required fields to get it initially saved, so it has the asterisk by it on the right. And then once you've added the information, make sure to hit save again in the lower right. And then the site, so this is any land, so we'll separate the buildings as the physical buildings, and then the sites is the land. We keep those areas separated. So now if you need to add any land, you go underneath the sites area and it's set up the same way. If you need to add a property, you'll go to the upper right with the circle and the plus sign in the middle of it. And then you can start adding your property information. And then anytime you need to change a property, you just click on that property name to open up the record. And then one thing we do recommend is once the property has been sold, or like for example in the buildings that it's been leased, we recommend that you don't delete it. Instead, change it to off the market in case it comes back up on the market again. So if you know it's been sold, or if you're going through this list and you say this is not active anymore, just simply click on the property name and you'll see the second field is the building status. Just change it to off the market and click on save. So then if it ever comes back on the market, you can easily change it back to on the market and make any changes needed. And anytime we do have, you can contact us anytime with questions through our email and our 800 number. We do have a little, under the tools section, a little user training area where you can click on the user training, and there is a video about how to add a new property. So we are starting to add more online video tutorials. Now, there is one other option for managing your properties within the admin site. So obviously there's the manual item, but if you ever wish to just do an export of all the properties and view the information, we do have an Excel spreadsheet tool where you can export it all into Excel and then make any changes to the properties in the spreadsheet, and then obviously save it to your computer and import it back into Lois. And so I just went underneath the tools and I clicked on the Excel bulk edit. And you'll notice if you're interested in looking at your buildings or sites, you need to click on the correct item. You can, if you have multiple communities, you can filter it down by different communities. And then the last one I like to point out too is most of the time you're only looking at on the market, so you could click on just on the market properties. And then once you click on export Excel data, the spreadsheet will just take a moment to open, and it will include every one of the fields for your buildings, or if you're in your sites, it'll include every one of the fields for the site. So this will be a really nice tool for you to evaluate what's in Lois for your communities, see if it's still on the market, and then even to see what data is missing. And so now you'll see at the top, we'll have all the building field names in here, and you can easily scroll through here and see, what information you have in here, what's missing. This is really a really nice tool I'm going to show you. Like for example, once you start populating like your electric providers and the phone numbers, this is a way for you to easily make sure the data is consistent too, because a lot of times with the utilities, we'll notice where they abbreviate part of the name, some will be spelled out, and it's just a great tool for you to go in and say, okay, we're going to make this data all consistent. And then with the contact information too, making sure your contact information is consistent. So this tool will actually let you make changes on this spreadsheet, save it to your computer, and then import it back in. So if you don't want to manually go through and make changes, this is a great tool to do that. Do you guys have any questions on just making changes manually or adding buildings or sites?
Amy, quick question. I may have missed this. So when you're looking at this list, am I only downloading the properties that I am responsible for?
Yes. So, well, since you are economic development organizations, you're going to see just what's in your territory. So basically, when I set up your account, I have to assign the correct counties and communities. So if for some reason you see some communities in here that you aren't responsible, let me know and I would remove it. Or if you see somewhere missing, I can adjust it. So since you're kind of going over many communities, you're going to see them all. But then if I set up just one of your other organizations that's responsible for just one community, when they log in, like for example, Salem, they would only see Salem. They couldn't access anybody else's.
So for each user ID is assigned either a building or a geography. Is that how it's?
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, it's more geography. Yes, they would be definitely assigned a geography.
So, but what if you have multiple real estate agents? Would they be able to edit each other's if they're in the same community?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. So that's what I was going to cover next. So if we get brokers involved and they're interested in managing their own properties, we set them up a little bit differently. We have to set them up as a private account. So when they log in, they won't see any of the properties that other brokers enter, and they can't see any properties that the local economic development organizations enter either. They can only access, so when they first log in, they'll have basically a blank dashboard. It'll be 0 buildings, 0 sites. And then they can start entering their properties, and then the next time they log in, they'll only see their properties too. But we have to associate their private account to basically your overall economic development account. So all their properties will flow up to your website. It's just that when you log in, you cannot edit any of their properties. I will say you will see that they have added a property. You just can't click on it here. It would be just a bold black color, but it is not an active link that you can open their property.
Got it. Perfect.
But you'll be able to see it in there.
Good. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and if you have realtors that may be part of some type of realtor association that they do or are willing to provide a property feed to Lois, we do have programmers on staff that can set that feed up. So basically it would be behind the scenes, it would be automatically sent to us on a daily or weekly basis.
Very cool.
Yeah, do you guys have any other questions?
I had one. So with the Excel spreadsheet, could you add a location using that spreadsheet?
Yes, you can. So what you will do, if you have a brand new property on here, just go to the end of the spreadsheet, find your first available row, and that's where you'll start typing it in. And then these first 4 columns, these are lowest generated, and so you would just leave these blank. So basically, you would start at building name or site name.
Okay, thank you.
And then with this spreadsheet too, just make sure, leave everything in there. Even if you're making changes just to a few properties, leave all the records in there when you import. Also, don't delete any columns or move them around, and just keep everything in the same order. All right. Anything else you'd like me to review?
I think that makes a lot of sense. So, so each community, in essence, our guiding principles are each community will have a maybe one or maybe multiple IDs that are community-wide. So an economic developer or someone at the town level, that's sort of one type of a profile. Then we can have We can also have a profile that's that entire platform wide.
Yes.
And then the third is really sort of broker, real estate agent level, where it's property specific and they can only edit at that level.
That's correct.
Anybody wants to add IDs, they have to send a request to you directly, right? And then you create.
Actually, if you're, so the only ones that have to be sent to me is if your organization isn't set up yet, I would have to originally get the first ID started. And I would have to create any realtor or broker accounts. But if you're set up already and you have an ID in here, and if you know there's some more people in your organization, you can add them yourself. I will be happy to do it if you send me the request. But underneath your settings tab, the last item is manage users. And this is where you could add more users. So you'll see it once again, there's that circle with the plus. And this is how you can create more individual user IDs for your organization.
Got it.
So you can do it yourself or feel free to send it to me. I'm happy to do it.
Gotcha. And so in this case, for example, Mo Business 911, any users you create here get access to all the properties.
That's correct.
And you have separate IDs. I'm not too familiar, but each community right now has its own ID created as well.
Yes, yep, that's correct. We used to do it in our old system where one organization would share a login. It was just a general username and password. Now we require with New Lois, each person has their own login and it's based off their email address. So their username, their email, and then a password is created.
Got it. So we have the county, the program-wide user ID login. We can create incremental IDs for that level of administration. We can create user IDs per community, and you already have the initial organization created for each community. So whoever locally is managing it can add more IDs at that level.
Yes.
But if there's any real estate agent or real estate broker that wants an ID, they send you an email ID.
They can send it, or if you'd like to send the request, or even if the local organizations, if they know a realtor, they can send it to me too. So I usually do like to get your approval that this realtor's approved to enter properties for your community or your organization.
Okay, that's good. I think that's a good sort of quality assurance. So going forward, we will make it a requirement that if you want to create user IDs, those requests have to come through our local community partners. So they will send you a request. Okay, perfect. That sounds good.
Yeah, because normally I would come back to you anyways and ask, do you approve this?
Yep. Okay, that works. Great. Tanya, Holly, any questions from you guys? No? You're muted. Sorry, say it again. No questions?
I don't think we have one realtor here.
Oh, okay.
Here. He doesn't want to be on. No one wants to be on the screen.
Did you have any questions over there?
No, I think we're good. Thank you.
Was that a no? I'm sorry. We can't hear you guys very well.
No, I think we're good. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, good enough. All right, Amy, was that it? Was there anything else?
I think that's fine for today. And then if you guys would like additional training, if you'd like me to go over the public viewer where the map is and just show all those features, I can do that another time. If you need any other trainings, let me know. I'm happy to provide it.
So I'm sorry, what is the other training that you're referring to?
Yeah, so anytime like you were showing on your website where Lois is integrated on your website, and I'll just show you. If you guys need training on I'm going to show your map viewer.
Yeah.
If you have questions about any of this or how to access reports or anything, I'm happy to go over this detail too.
Would you mind just doing a 5-minute because while we're recording it, might as well have you walk us through it, so it'll be recorded, and if anybody wants a quick overview, they'll know how to navigate this site.
No problem. Well, anytime there is a property, so obviously once a change is made to the properties, either if it's broker entered or your local economic development organization, it's automatically reflected through your map viewer. It flows up to the state's website and then our nationwide viewer too. So all the lowest viewers will look the same depending on your territory. It will only show the properties in your territory. So there is a search feature in the upper right if you need to narrow down the results. You'll notice by default it does land on buildings, and we have a number of fields in here. We can switch over to just the sites also. So I like to point out the search tool in the upper right. We do have some other search tools if somebody wants to draw. So if there's in a certain area, you can draw on the map for just the area you're looking at. So I like to point that out. And then also, once you have properties that you're interested in looking at, I'm going to click on this processing facility. Now, we only display the fields that have been populated. So if some have not been entered in the admin site, we will not show any blank fields. So all this information is entered by the local economic development organizations or by brokers, except for, you'll notice, the population and households. That information is coming from the cloud, straight from Esri. And these values can also be changed. So if you choose to say, hey, the 10, 20, and 30 isn't really what we want, I can show you in the admin site where you could change those values. There is another tab, so if there is additional information on the property, you can click on the details to see the additional info that has been added. And once again, if there's broker contact information or additional contacts in here, that would display below this. And then I like to point out too, there are these icons in the upper right. The first one are the reports. And this is coming from Esri. So these are coming from the cloud. I believe we have 16 different Esri reports right now. And since any report that is generated from the building or site, it's going to be pulling off the address. So you can choose an option of drive, time, or distance. And then you can change this radii too if you choose to change those radii. And then once you click on generate report, like I said, this is coming straight from Esri. I'll just click the community profile report here in the lower right. And then this will pull up as a PDF. So if you need to print or if you need to email this off, you can save this to your computer. And so you'll see here, this is coming straight from Esri. This will be the radii report. So it'll tell you the address or the property name, and then the drive times radii that you selected. And then these reports, these 16 reports, can also be generated for your communities too. So if you just want it off the community or county, that can be generated too. And then I pointed out earlier that if there is a video attached, we would display the number of videos here in the upper right of the icon. And then the photos, you can click on the photos icon to display all of them and go through the carousel. And then the fourth option, this printer, the print brochure, this is a default PDF that we generate that can be generated for all your properties. And once again, it's only going to display the fields that were populated. So if there's some fields that aren't entered, we're not going to be showing any blank fields on here. And then if the broker chooses to upload their own brochures or if there's any additional supporting materials, you can put that under, that was in the admin site, and that would be located under the files. And then the last option, if you wish to just email a link of the property, you can click on the share envelope and then copy that direct link to send off in an email so somebody can view the property. And then all of these properties too, if you're searching on the map, if you really zoom in here, you can click on any of these map markers and get the reports or the print brochure through this feature. We have another one I haven't pointed out yet, and this is the star. It's an add to favorite. And what that does is, if you have a handful of properties that you might be interested in compiling for a report or to sending off to someone, you'll notice I clicked another star here and another property over on the left. And once I clicked on a few of those stars, you'll notice in the upper right of the map, or the upper left of the map, there's a My Favorite. And this allows you to compile buildings and or sites. And what you can do with this, if you look in the upper right, you can create reports off of this area. So it's kind of like a shopping cart. And this allows you, you'll see here, we have a few different options. And the first one, this is just compiling all those one-page brochures into a PDF. So instead of compiling each one separately, this automatically does this for you. And then another nice option in here, we have a property tour and a property list PDF. And so if you have to do a roadshow or if you're visiting a few properties, this will put you in order of the properties that you've selected. And then it'll include a map too, so you know which ones you're going to in the order that you've selected. And if you look at this map or this PDF and you say, hey, we're not going to go to this one first, we're going to move this to the last one, you can go back to your My Favorites and say, hey, I'm going to move this one down. We're going to go to this one last. And then another option in here too, maybe you're working on this and you need to come back to this in a few days, you can actually save your properties that you've selected. So we do have, if you wish to save it and come back to it later, we do have a login here that you can click on, and as long as you have a Gmail account, you can create your own login here so you can access these reports anytime. And you can create folders in here. And then rename this folder here. You can create multiple folders in here too. So if you have multiple projects going on, you would see all those that you saved in here. So those are, without going too much deeper, those are the things I like to point out because some people aren't always aware when you first log in about those features. Do you guys have questions on how to access anything or any of the reports I pulled up?
Thank you. That was tremendously helpful, Amy. That's a real. It's a really powerful tool, and every time it seems like you give us a walkthrough, we see additional functionality that we weren't aware of. So this is great. Thank you.
Well, good. Well, as I said earlier, you guys can contact me anytime. I will have, let's see here, this is our homepage. So we have the contact us where you can easily get our phone number, you can email us. My direct email is location1@location1.com. And I'll be happy to help you guys out as you proceed here and as you get realtors interested, or you may just say, hey, we're interested in managing our properties ourselves. Please contact me and I'll get you set up and trained and we'll get you guys rolling. And all your communities too can have, once they've added their properties, they can have their own link on their website too. So similar like the Business 911 website, you can have your own link on your individual community. So like Salem could have their own link to Lois just displaying Salem's properties. So I can review that with each community too that's interested.
Perfect. Great. Thank you. Okay, so let me flip over and I'm going to take just a couple of quick minutes to walk you through the other piece of the conversation, which was the rental properties functionality that we're looking to create. So this right here is a platform that we're in the midst of developing for a community, Grand County in Colorado. And so there, the thing I want to highlight is really this housing piece. So they wanted to make sure they have a long-term and a short-term housing listing available for really targeted at the employees. Obviously, you know, this area, it's a tourism, it's an industry. In this area, tourism industry is huge. And as you know, tourism industry kind of skews the market pretty dramatically. So the cost of living is pretty high. It's a great place to visit, to come and spend vacation dollars. But if you're living in this community, it can become extremely difficult for local people making slightly above minimum wage to be able to afford to live in this community. So anyways, that's sort of the flavor of the community. So what we did is, this site isn't live yet, it's still being designed. But what you're seeing here is pretty straightforward. There's nothing overly dramatic about what's here, but they wanted to make sure that we had a platform that was dedicated to local properties. So that's what this is. You can come into any of these sites and I can click on it and I can look at the details of each one of these properties. You can look and see, you know, who listed the property. You can get a little bit of background on the property size, and we actually customize features. Like they said one of the things that was important to them was to make sure that we could flag which properties are on the bus line, which properties are close to other amenities like daycare, etc. So we built that in here as well. So that's something that's created. Something else that, you know, everything at 90% of this is pretty vanilla. It's just a basic property rental site. One of the pieces, however, that we think is going to be incredibly helpful is this. Given that we are talking about a lot of seasonal employment and labor, this obviously isn't necessarily the scenarios that we're thinking about in some of our Ozark communities. But here's a feature that we thought would be very interesting to consider, which is not only can you see properties that are available today, but you can also look at properties that are going to be coming available down the road. And so that very sort of simple functionality where a property owner can say, you know, right now this property is not available, but if I want to screen for a property coming available later on in the month, later on in the year, basically allowing people to plan their future a little easier. And again, in this particular community, because it's a tourism community, there's winter season, there's summer season. So around, say, March, April timeframe, there's a whole bunch of people that are leaving the community because winter season is wrapping up. Then for a month or two, business is really slow. And then the summer season picks up. And so as a person is thinking about where they're going to live in the winter time, where they're going to live in the summertime, this allows them to look forward and predict and understand where their housing opportunities will be. So that's one piece. The other piece is similar to what Amy showed us on Lois. You only have to create a property once, and then a property owner can basically flag that site as being available or not available, so that you don't have to go in and recreate properties every time. Once it's set up, you know, as soon as it gets rented, you just flag it that it's no longer available. So that's one part of what's being built. The other piece this idea was just brought up last month, and we're in the process of building it out, which is sort of the other side of the equation on the housing side, which is helping identify individuals that are looking for housing. So when you come to this site in 8 weeks, what you'll see is another link that says people that are interested in living in Grand County, and being able to capture the profiles of those individuals. And they also specify sort of what they're looking for, the price range of what they're looking to spend, and, you know, any special requirements they may have. They may have pets, et cetera, et cetera. so that property owners can then more proactively, or even individuals can then say, oh, I need a housemate or I need a roommate or whatever, and then they can do some of that matchmaking a bit more proactively. So those were the two pieces that are being built out. And as I was sharing with some of you in our GRO communities about this option of building out rental property site on this Business 911 platform, there was, I heard a fair amount of enthusiasm for that capability. So anyways, you can anticipate that coming about in about 6 to 8 weeks. But let me just pause there and see if you guys have any thoughts or questions. You're muted, so if you're saying something, please unmute yourself first. All right, I don't think there are any questions, so I will, I'll unmute you guys right now, if I can. I don't know if I can. Nope, that's not working. Okay, all right, so that's all I have. Amy, anything else from you?
No, that's all I have.
Okay, perfect. So if you guys have any questions, Amy's email address is location1@location1.com. Was that it?
That's correct. Yep. And my direct number is 800-200-3630.
Perfect. Okay. So now we don't have any excuses of not being able to get in and not knowing what to do. So everyone has that information. We've recorded this session, so I will put this session on YouTube, and you'll get a YouTube link, and feel free to send it out to your local property managers, etc. All right, guys, thank you. Hopefully this was helpful to you. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. There they are. All right. Take care.